There is a day in every person's life that they will remember forever. Not because it was the best day, not because everything went right, but because it was the day something broke open inside them and nothing was ever the same again. And today I want to tell you about that day because I believe you have either already had it or you are standing right on the edge of it right now. The person in this story had been living the way most people live. Not terribly, not spectacularly, just safely. Going through the motions of a life that looked acceptable from the outside. Feeling completely hollow on the inside. Showing up to the same routine. Having the same conversations. Making the same excuses. And telling themselves the same story about why things would change eventually. Someday. When the timing was better. When they felt more ready. When the circumstances finally aligned in their favor. But the someday never came. And the timing never improved. And the readiness never arrived. Because those things never do arrive for the person who is waiting for them. They only arrive for the person who stops waiting and starts moving. And then, one ordinary evening, sitting alone in a room that had seen too many nights of the same quiet surrender, something shifted, not dramatically, not with a thunderclap or a divine revelation, but quietly, the way the most important things always happen, in the stillness, in the space between one thought and the next. A single question arrived that refused to leave. If nothing changes, what does the rest of my life actually look like? And for the first time, instead of pushing that question away with distraction, with entertainment, with the comfortable numbness of a life lived on the surface, they sat with it, and what they saw in the honest answer to that question was the most terrifying and the most clarifying thing they had ever faced. Because the rest of the life they were living, if nothing changed, was simply more of what they already had, more of the same hollow safety, more of the same quiet regret, more of the same distance between who they were and who they had always felt they were meant to become. And in that moment, something died. Not them, not their spirit, not their obey, but the story, the comfortable lie they had been telling themselves about why starting tomorrow was always better than starting today. And when that story died, something else was born in its place. Something small and fragile at first, the way all new things begin, but real, undeniably real, in a way that the old, comfortable version of their life had never been. They did not transform overnight. That is not how real transformation works. And anyone who tells you otherwise is selling you something, because real transformation is slow. It is unglamorous. It is built in the small decisions made on the ordinary days when nobody is watching and nothing feels particularly significant. It is built in the moment you choose the hard thing over the easy one for the 100th time and start to realize that those choices are not just changing your habits, they're changing who you are at the level of identity. The people around them notice before they did a different energy, a different focus, a different way of carrying themselves through rooms and conversations. Something had been set in motion that could not be stopped because it was no longer driven by motivation which comes and goes, but by something deeper, a clarity of purpose that had been missing for so long that its return felt like remembering something that had always been true. And the most profound thing about this story is not the transformation. It is the ordinariness of the moment that started it. Because it was not a near-death experience. It was not a dramatic loss. It was not a moment that anyone watching from the outside would have recognized as significant. It was just a person, alone in a room, finally willing to be honest with themselves about what their life was and what it could be, and choosing, quietly and completely, to close the distance between the two. That choice is available to you right now. In this moment, in whatever room you are sitting in whatever season you are walking through, because the day everything changes does not require perfect circumstances or divine timing or the arrival of some external force that finally makes it possible. It only requires the one thing that has always been entirely within your control, and that is the decision to stop negotiating with your own potential and start honoring it with the only currency that has ever actually worked. Consistent daily action taken in the direction of the life you know you were built for. The day everything changed is not behind you waiting to be remembered. It is ahead of you, waiting to be chosen. And if this story spoke to something that has been stirring inside, you then like this video. Drop a comment saying, "I'm learning," follow for more, and subscribe to Mind Unspoken, because this is where we tell the stories that remind you of who you actually are and what you are actually capable of. And we tell them until you finally believe them enough to leave them.